Shalom Laim La Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Kagdash. This is Hosea 4:13. It reads, They sacrifice upon the tops of the mountains and burn incense upon the hills under oaks and poplars and elms, because the shadow thereof is good. All right, that's just going into this chapter is going into Jake. This verse right here is speaking on how throughout history we've went after these idols, the ways of the heathen, that has not benefited us. All right. It's like putting your trust in man, and with that you only get but so far. That's why in Isaiah chapter 30, it says the strength of Pharaoh, roughly paraphrasing, shall be ashamed, because those things don't benefit us. It's also like the verse that says wisdom is a defense and money is a defense, but money is carnal, and wisdom is spiritual, and wisdom is what's going to truly benefit us in the long run, and even now, because the thing with money, it's expendable, and then it's carnal, and the riches isn't going to deliver you, in Jacob's trouble. All right. It says, because the shadow thereof is good, so carnally it may seem good. It says, therefore your daughter shall commit whoredom and your spouses shall commit adultery. Just going into the curses. What we got for going after these different idols. But just got a couple precepts just going into that. This is Genesis, just proving the point that the trees, the ways of the trees was those idols. It says, I'm gonna start from the top. All right, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah power had made. It says a serpent going into a man, he was very crafty, and those beasts of the field, talking about the other nations, in the world. And he said unto the woman, hath the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Has the Lord said, don't take on the philosophies of these other nations. It says, and the serpent said unto the woman, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. All right, because the ways of the heathen is actually death styles, and that's what befell on Eve and then Adam. They lived for a real long time, but they eventually died. It says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. Because again, just going into how long they lived, but they actually became mortals. It says, for the Most High doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. All right, verse 6, the point, it says, we'll go down to verse 8. It says, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, the woman saw that carnally, she felt like, the tree, the way of this tree of a man, of these other nations was good, going back to that shadow, Salah, the shadow, it says, they sacrifice upon the tops of the mountains and burn incense upon the hills under oaks and poplars and elms, because the shadow thereof is good. The shadow going into the protection. So she felt like it could, she can actually live by it. It says, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, it looked good, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof, the doctrine, and he did eat, and gave also unto her husband, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. All right. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. They knew that they had sinned. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So they tried to appear as the other nations, because they knew that they had messed up, so they tried to appear as the other trees of the garden. It says, and they heard the voice of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, walking in the garden in the cool of the day, which was a prophet. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, power, amongst the trees of the garden. So that's when they got fully emerged in the ways of the nations. All right, and just going to the point of it's Isaiah 30, going into that shadow. Isaiah 30 and verse 3. Get a definition for that word shadow. It says shadow, shade, shadow on dial, shadow, shade as protection, shadow symbolic of transitoriness, of life. All right, defense, whether literal or figurative defense, shadow. So something for protection on ways of the heathen, because they felt like it was a way of life, a way that they can live that and they could have protection, being carnal. This is Isaiah 30 and 3. It says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Hey, so the strength of a man, those that put their trust in carnality, the ones that put their trust into the shadows of those different trees, that's gonna be their shame, because those things don't truly lead to life. It says, in the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So because you put your trust into idols, that's going to be your confusion, because going to Habakkuk chapter 2, Habakkuk chapter 2, Habakkuk chapter 2, you go down to verse 18. It says, what profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it, the molten image, and the teacher of lies that the maker of his work trusted therein to make dumb idols. All right. So keep going. It says, woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise. It shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. So, what profit does a graven image, an idol, what does it have? It's a teacher of lies, and going into that word dumb, it's a dumb idol. It can't speak, it's silent. And it says there's no breath in it at all, verse 19. So there's no understanding in it. That's why going back to Isaiah 30 and verse 3, it says the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion, because you can be confused, because these things don't ultimately, they're not beneficial to you. They're not beneficial to you when things actually going on. The only thing that's going to benefit us is, let's get it. This is Isaiah 34 and 16. It says, seek ye out the book of the Lord and read. None of these shall fail. Keep going. None shall want her mate. All right. So you shouldn't want a mate. You shouldn't seek after the shadow of another tree, another nation, another man, because we were made to be spiritual and not carnal. These idols offer carnality. All right. But moving on, my last scripture, this is Wisdom of Solomon 14:27. All right, it says, the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. And the worshiping of idols began, in the garden, and then it's going to end with that Karaglim, when the Lord comes back, and destroys Esau, Edom, 2/3 in these heathen. All right, that's the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. The Lord willing, of Zedephon, call Halayim La, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Kakdash. Shalom.